Hello everyone and welcome back to another Top Heroes video. We just finished a series going over the traits for each faction, whether that be League, Horde, or Nature. What we haven't done is go over each of those factions in one video, comparing them to each other so that way you can make an educated decision on which faction you want to focus on. Let's go ahead and dive right into it. For new players, this is going to serve as a guide that's going to help you choose your faction early in the game. That way you're able to maximize the potential of that faction. This game goes off of a counter system. So you can see here at the top that Nature counters Horde, Horde counters League, and League counters Nature. These are going to be the three factions that you're able to choose early on in the game. If you are on a older server joining a friend, or if you just want to join an older server prior to 580, then you are going to have a different release dates of heroes and mythic heroes compared to servers that are after 580. Let's deep dive each of these factions so we can see what each of them offers and brings to the table. League is going to be the first faction that we take a look at. They are a strong faction and you'll get good legendary and mythic heroes early on, regardless of whether you are pre or post the server 580 split. League is a faction that it's easy to obtain the meta for, the meta being Adjudicator, Rose Princess, Paragon, and Artificer. However, that can be expensive to upgrade. This is going to be a faction that's going to have either 3 legendaries or 2 legendaries, and if you have 3 legendaries in your lineup, meaning you're using Bard, Pyro, and Adjudicator, or Adjudicator, none, Pyro, this is going to be the lineup that's going to be expensive, costing you 27 soul stones to awaken the entire faction. As far as perks go with this lineup, you're going to have the ability to get the flagship DPS character Pyro early on in the game. This is going to be a strong faction against Nature. At the end of the game, a lot of people do tend to switch to Nature, so this is going to be a good counter to that meta switch. However, they do get destroyed pretty easily from the high DPS of Horde. As far as PvE goes, this is a faction that's going to do kind of medium, middle of the road type damage to world bosses. It's not going to be the highest DPS to those PvE events, but it's still going to be a solid option. You had the release of heroes like Artificer that provide good DPS increases with heals, and they're in a pretty solid spot at the moment, keeping the rotation going for the counter system fair and equitable at the moment. Next up, we have Nature. The Nature faction is a pretty strong queue that's going to allow you to have maximum sustain with a lot of summons and minions. A lot of the skills that come with the heroes, whether they be the legendary or mythic heroes, come with the ability to summon minions, creatures that are going to take a lot of the damage and allow them to survive for a long period of time. It depends on what server you're in, whether you're going to be getting the meta early or not. If you're in a 580 server, the meta is going to be a little bit longer for you. Unfortunately, those League and Horde mythic heroes release before all of the Nature heroes. If you're coming before server 580, then you'll be able to get the meta quite a bit sooner, because in Season 1, Nature is going to release most of the mythic heroes with all of their exclusive gear. As far as cost goes, this is going to be a middle of the pack cost, because you're going to have 2 heroes that you need to awaken. Forest Maiden and Pixie are the 2 legendary heroes, and that's going to cost you 18 soul stones. You do have the option also to run with Sage. Sage is another legendary hero that you can get and awaken. However, you are able to replace Sage with a new mythic hero, Patalis, as you begin leveling up this mythic hero. The meta for this is going to remain Monk, Naza, Tidecaller, Pixie, Forest Maiden, and then with the release of the new hero Patalis, you can put Patalis in for Sage. Some people are leaving Sage in, so this is still a little bit up to debate, but it does seem to be like once you have Patalis maxed out and traded up, she's going to outperform Sage. As far as the balance of the counter system goes, I think Nature has it the best. Nature is able to pretty easily beat Horde teams, and they're able to survive pretty well against some League teams. Now, League does have the ability to counter, so they do win most of those battles, but compared to all the rest of the factions, I do believe that League has it out to survive more often than not against the faction that counters it. We have the best hero in the entire game in Tidecaller, and then we also have Nezah, who is a very strong mythic hero as well, a tank slash damage dealer, and then you also have Tidecaller, damage dealer, healer, and tank. Kind of does it all. This is who you want to really focus on if you do choose Nature. For performance in PvE, this is going to be another kind of even matchup versus League, maybe even falling a little bit behind League in PvE due to the fact that the skill damage just doesn't quite add up. However, in PvP, very strong faction that does counter the faction system quite well. As far as skins go, pets go, and relics, this is still going to be similar to the other factions, so it doesn't make a big difference compared to Horde and League. Castle skins are probably going to be a little more strong compared to League whenever you are applying these castle skins for Nature. You have the Nightfall Castle that is quite strong, providing strong nature buffs with march size, attack, decreasing casualty ratios, and large increases in soldier HP. And you also have the Shell Castle, which is not quite as strong, but does provide some good buffs if you are using it versus owning this specific castle skin. Finally, we have the Horde faction. The Horde faction is going to counter League and get beat up on by Nature. As far as the meta goes, it depends on if you are before 560 or after 560. If you are before 560, it takes a very long time to obtain the meta. The meta being Beastmaster, Desert Prince, Witch, Storm Maiden, and Wukong. This is pretty much set in stone. They have the most amount of mythic heroes. And then that final spot, you just need to put in a legendary hero. There is a lot of debate between Soulmancer, Warlock, Barbarian, even Sword Master. However, with new buffs, it does seem that Warlock is becoming a little bit more prominent compared to Soulmancer and Barbarian. That is going to be the meta that you're looking for with Horde. So before 560, you're not going to be finishing out your meta until the start of Season 2. It takes a very long time to get Wukong, who is the essential piece to the Horde lineup. He's going to be dealing massive amounts of damage. You want to get him those increased attributes that you can. You want to be maxing out his traits as fast as you can because he's going to be your big damage dealer. If you come after 560, from what we know so far, is that the release of some of the Horde mythic heroes comes way earlier than it did previously, so you will be getting Storm Maiden as well as Witch very early on, and that's going to be very beneficial, as well as Desert Prince, very beneficial to just starting off with Horde. As far as the cost goes, this is not too expensive since you're only focusing on one legendary hero. You only need 9 soul stones to level up that and awaken that legendary hero. As far as performance goes, this is the best performance for PvE because you're increasing the attack skills and the base attributes of attack so much, and the way in which attack works for the Horde faction. You're going to be dishing out massive amounts of damage in PvE. In PvP, you're going to be able to destroy League teams that are millions of power higher than you. However, you are going to get smashed by Nature because Nature is becoming more and more strong as they release these mythic heroes. The issue with Nature is that you do need to max out those exclusive weapons to really reach full potential. With Horde, you're able to level up and get some very strong skills at level 10 on your exclusive gear and counter a lot of other people that stuck with League very early on. As far as skins go and pets, you do have pets that are going to increase the attributes of your Horde heroes, 2 of them now. So we have the cat, and then you also have the tiger, which are going to specifically focus on Horde, increasing those hero attributes quite a bit higher than going with the base all hero attribute increases from some of the other pets. As far as skins go, we do finally have Divine Spirit, which is going to be a Horde focused troop skin, which can be beneficial for increasing morale. And then we also finally have a Dragonheart relic that's going to be focused, providing Horde specific buffs for the team as well. So now, as far as auxiliary goes, Horde has caught up to the League and the Nature faction with those skins. We do have very strong castle skins in both Blazing Fortress, which is what you would want to use as your castle skin because of the soldier attack and the crit rate. And then you also have the Tower of Chaos, which is very strong for owning because of all those bonuses that you get. Plus, you have a castle skill that you can use 2 times per day that increases your damage and your PvP march speed. Overall, Horde is a queue that is going to provide you with the most amount of damage in PvE. It is my favorite faction, and I think it performs quite well in PvP. Although it does get beat up on by nature, it is the same against League. And I really think that right now, at the current moment, the counter system is in a pretty good spot and is working quite well. Overall, when you're picking a queue, really take a look at the different types of heroes and decide which way you want to go. If you want to get the meta pretty early, you'll want to focus on nature and you'll want to focus on League. If you want to get the meta later on in the game and become stronger later on, then you'll want to go with Horde. Horde is going to be focused on attack. League's going to be focused on skill damage, and then you have nature that's going to be focused on survivability. Hopefully this video was helpful for you and allows you to make an educated decision on which faction you want to focus on here in Top Heroes. It's all about having fun, but at the end of the day, you do need to pick early on because of how difficult it is to get all the resources and the amount of time that you have to put in to maximize your heroes. If this video is helpful, make sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Remember, members do get videos first, so become a member, get early access to those videos, and enjoy the content before everybody else. Thank you so much for your support, and I will see you all in the next one.
I want it every single time. No chances to revive. Days are slip away sometimes when pressure holds too tight.